Hey guys, it's Adi here with Geek on Gadgets, and this is a review of LG's latest flagship, the G5. So a lot has changed in the G5 since the previous flagship, the G4, and mainly a lot of that was actually in the design. LG, instead of the leather or plastic backing on the G4, have gone with a whole another angle of the premium finish where it's pure metal alloy, coated in some plastic paint so it hides any antenna lines. And this whole change is also accompanied by the new modular chin at the bottom, and also moving the volume rocker from the back of the phone to the side of the phone. So now, in general, first of all, the G5 renders looked very bland, and I wasn't a fan of the G5 when I first saw it online or released. But holding it in my hand and seeing it on an actual real-life basis, the phone is much, much nicer than the online renders and photos would have you assume. And of course, it's always welcome to have a metal phone. It just has that extra solidity to it that just makes it feel more worthy or premium. Since LG removed the buttons from the back of the phone, they had to put them somewhere. And that somewhere is on the left-hand side of the phone. However, unfortunately, I found the buttons were a bit too shallow to my liking. The rear buttons on the G4, I could easily press them in my pocket without looking. The G5's buttons are almost completely flush with the body of the device, meaning it's very difficult to actually press them in without physically paying attention to the phone and seeing where you're pressing. And they don't have as much travel as I would like for volume rocker buttons, so sometimes you have some doubts whether or not you've pressed the button or not. And as much as I love the rear-facing buttons on the G4, according to the LG people I spoke to, they couldn't put the volume buttons on the back of the phone because it just wouldn't fit with the modular design they had in mind. And I'm totally fine with that. If having the buttons on the side means allowing for this modular design, I just wish they made the buttons a bit more clicky. On the other hand, the rear-facing power button also has an integrated fingerprint sensor, which is extremely fast, super accurate, and a lot of fun to use. It makes just using your Android in everyday life so much easier, because now a lot of apps are adopting using the fingerprint to unlock, such as PayPal or the Chase Bank apps. So there's more and more function for the fingerprint scanner beyond the normal just unlocking the phone. Carrying on with the design of the phone, the front obviously has the 5.3-inch IPS LCD display, which is absolutely gorgeous. But another feature that doesn't get enough mention on the G5 is this beautiful, graceful curve at the top of the phone, where the glass here at the top of the phone just slowly, very slightly, just curves upwards, meaning the top end of the phone, and it just makes it for a very nice, smooth feeling, especially when dragging down for notifications or swiping up for whatever reason it could be. That little curve there just makes the phone feel that much nicer. Moving on to the actual screen of the phone, of course, one of the major selling points is this secondary IPS LCD screen right there, sorry about that, which can be used as a clock or just for a quick glance at notifications. It's super useful in everyday life, and you really get used to it, and it's one of those things that you don't realize how much you like until you move away from the phone to a phone that doesn't have it, and then you're like, damn, I really wish it had an always on clock. So kudos to LG for including that. The screen itself, obviously the main screen, is a 5.3-inch QHD IPS LCD screen, and LG have pretty much perfected IPS LCD screens at this time. The G4 screen was amazing, and the G5 screen is even brighter than the G4 screen, and it's actually almost too bright, where at night I'm trying to lower it and it just doesn't get any lower than that. So that's how good the G5 screen is. The screen is also, of course, protected by Gorilla Glass 4, so you don't have to worry about any scratches or marks on it. And so far within the week or two that I've used the phone, I don't have a single scratch on the phone, so that's nice to know. Another pretty awesome thing LG have done with the G5 is the cameras, where it has two main cameras, one 16 megapixel lens and another 8 megapixel wide angle lens. And this wide angle lens is a 135 degree lens and just captures so much more in frame. So if you're in the normal view, this is the normal camera here, you can actually zoom out. As you can see here, we can zoom out more, and I'm using the wide angle lens right now to get a sort of fisheye look, and you can see I can see a lot more than I would in a classic or normal camera. And this actually makes for some really interesting shots where, sitting from the same perspective point, you can just get a really wider look at things, and it just looks a lot nicer. And these are just some examples of switching between the narrow and wide angle lens. Beyond the actual both lenses, the camera is pretty much the same camera we've seen in the G4 and the V10, which was an excellent camera, absolutely no complaints about it. And it does look really nice, photos look amazing, and the videos, as you would expect, are very impressive. Moving on to the main attraction in the G5, it's obviously the Modular Dock, which allows you to place some different accessories and just change your phone and, add a little quirk to it. So I actually have the Cam Plus, the Cam 360, which is one of the friends, and I have the VR headset. And all these are just really nice additions to the G5. It's a really compelling reason to buy the G5 just for the friends. The 360 cam is really awesome and fun to play with. You can just have so much fun just making your own VR videos and then watching them in the VR headset. And the really cool thing about the G5 is the fact that switching the modules is really simple. It takes about 15 seconds to switch one and then just wait another 20 seconds to power on the phone. I do wish, however, that LG had actually added like a tiny 100 milliamp secondary battery that would keep the phone powered on while switching modules. That would have been really cool, just to be able to switch modules without powering off the phone. But I guess, I mean, didn't fit, didn't work, too expensive, whatever the reason, but that would have been cool. In terms of software, the G5 obviously runs Android Marshmallow, and it's powered by a Snapdragon 820 processor with 4 gigabytes of RAM. And this phone absolutely flies through any task you throw at it. I've never had it lag or stutter once. Very smooth overall, not even when restoring the phone or downloading apps did I have any problems with it at all. LG have also tweaked their own skin for it, so it's a much more nicer looking skin now, more white rather than the darker colors they had before, and just more pleasing to look at, especially on this beautiful display. And in general, just the phone itself and the software, very, very fast and efficient. You would never assume that this phone would give you any problems, and I don't foresee it giving me any problems. One thing LG have done in the software that's a bit quirky and some will not like is that they've completely gotten rid of the app drawer. So there is no menu button here to see the apps. Instead, all your apps are listed on your home screen, a never-ending scrolling option similar to that in iOS. Now, you can create folders. You can see here I have some apps in folders, and through the settings you can choose to hide an app permanently and never see it. But I mean, it was a bit annoying at first trying to figure out a whole new layout to my home screens and figure out what goes where. In the end, I figured it out and getting used to this new no app drawer, and you learn to live with it. And if you really can't live with it, you can always download a launcher to customize your own app drawer. Overall, the G5 is a really great device, and it feels like a huge leap in terms of upgrades from the G4 rather than an incremental increase. And that's what I really like about it, where it feels, even if you have the G4, I would tell you, if you have an upgrade chance, get the G5, because there's so much more new going on here that you won't really regret having gotten the latest thing. And given its 820 processor, the 32 gigabytes of internal storage, up to 200 gigabytes expandable storage, but the 2 cameras, the modular docks, there's just so much going on with the phone that you really feel that you have a bleeding edge phone. And I think that's what a lot of people want when they're putting down $500 or $600 for a phone, to feel that they're getting their money's worth, and the G5 definitely gives that to you. So those are my thoughts on the G5. What do you guys think about the G5 and this whole modular phone thing in general? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys around.